Hey guys, welcome back to Econ Time with SK. So grab your notebooks, your favorite cup of coffee, and let's get started. So in today's video, we are going to focus on the law of diminishing marginal utility. But before we get into that, I remember that somebody had asked me the question that how can MU become negative? And the answer to this is quite simple. So let's just think of, how they have those deals during Ramadan and they have a Pizza Hut you would usually have all you can eat pizza at a given amount of money, right? And I remember, so when we were in university, all the boys would compete with each other on how much pizza slices they can eat. And then they would stack up the pizza crusts and then take pictures. Like it's like their trophy. Okay. But I remember that whenever those deals happened, my brother was a kid at that time. When he would get back from this iftar party, he would have like terrible stomach aches and whatnot. So that's the idea, right? You are eating so much that at some point you actually may throw up, right? So that's the idea. That is where your marginal utility starts becoming negative. Okay. So moving forward now, the question is that why does this law of diminishing marginal utility hold? Why is it the case that as you consume more and more and more of a good without taking a break, your additional happiness actually keeps on falling, falling, falling? One explanation for this is focus on the word urgent use. Okay. The assumption is when you're consuming that first unit, you're using it for your most urgent use, and that's why you derive maximum marginal utility. But as you're consuming more and more and more, additional units are being used for less urgent needs. So when you are satisfying less urgent needs, your additional happiness is, of course, less. Okay, so let's use a more specific example, all right? Ramadan, when you break your fast, okay, you are sitting down to iftar, you are super thirsty, right? So that first glass of, let's say, lebu sharbat, it makes you super duper happy, all right? Because you were thirsty. You were thinking, I'm gonna die if I don't have a glass of water. It's been like 40 degrees outside, I am dying. So that your most urgent use is, of course, to quench your thirst, to get rid of that thirsty feeling, right? So that's why that first unit gives you a lot of happiness, okay? But after that, when you're having an additional glass of lebu sharbat, by the third glass, it's like, okay, you're just drinking it because your mom is like, আমি এত কষ্ট করে বানাইছি তুমি কিছু খাচ্ছ না খেতে হবে. So you're trying to please your mom, but it's like a less urgent use at that point in time because you know what, you've already quenched your thirst. তুমি যে পাগল হয়ে যাচ্ছিলা because there's no water, you've not had any water or anything nice and cool for the whole day, you were going nuts. So of course, that first unit, it satisfies your most urgent need. And after that, as you satisfy less urgent need, the happiness that you derive from it is less. Let me give you another example. All right. Now think of use of water. All right. Let's say that suddenly, তোমার এলাকায় announcement করে গিয়েছে যে আগামীকাল there won't be any water. তখন what do you do? তখন always you're rushing and your mom will come and tell you, okay, বালতি ভরে রাখো, you're gonna find any sort of like বড় বড় পাতিল টাতিল সবকিছু নিয়ে তুমি পানি জমায় রাখবা কিন্তু, right? So on the day when there's no water, what are you gonna do? You're going to make sure that the water is used for the most urgent use, right? So you're going to make sure your water is used for cooking, it is used for drinking. You won't be like, oh, you know what, আজকে আমি গাড়ি ধোবো or আজকে বাগানে পানি দিতে হবে, right? So this is the idea that when you're consuming that first unit of water, you're using it for that most urgent use, which is cooking and quenching your thirst. As you have more and more and more water and you're using it for the less urgent use, in that case, the marginal utility actually goes down because you're using that water to satisfy less urgent needs. So that's an explanation for why the law of diminishing marginal utility holds. With that, we can actually conclude our discussion of the law of diminishing marginal utility. And in the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to go into utility maximization subject to a budget constraint. All right, guys, I shall see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.